Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Clueniverse. You are watching Requiem for a Cluett, which is our 10 Candles miniseries, a tragic horror tabletop role-playing game, and you are catching the second half of the series, so our finale. So don't get too attached to these characters, because they all gonna die. They're all gonna die. That's the premise of 10 Candles. What a fun time. Before we get started though, folks get to live a little bit longer because I do want to say my thank yous to everyone who helped make this possible. First of all, a bunch of you in the chat or watching this as a VOD later, or maybe listening to this as a podcast, made this possible via Ko-Fi donations. So thank you so much to all of you. We also have Friday Afternoon Tea, one of our sponsors. They make delicious, like atmospheric, awesome teas for thirsty nerds, all with geeky inspirations. So delicious. And of course, you can't have a 10 Candles stream without a candle sponsor, right? So we've got Cantrip Candles. I'm going to try not to light myself on fire on the stream. Cantrip Candles sent us some awesome candles and also is making this stream possible. So thank you very much to them. And then finally, Roll20. If you're playing a game that requires a tabletop and you want more of an immersive online experience that way, definitely check out roll20.net. But I think I've stalled enough. I am so ready to delve back into the horror. Let's do some introductions. I guess I'll start us off. I'm Lysa Penrose. This is my Twitch channel, and I am your GM today. I am them. And we also have Eugenio.
Hi everybody, I'm Eugenio. You might know me as DM Jazzy Hymns. Tonight I am playing Harriet Cluett, middle Cluett sister. Searching for a cure for vampirism for her sister in the catacombs of the European city.
And TK.
It's me, it's TK. I'm playing Agnes Van Hop, a young exorcist who's very excited to be here, very excited to be taken under Sister Harriet's wing. I think that we're going to do a lot of really great work today, and I think we're going to do a lot of great work here in the eyes of our Lord. Too bad about Mr. Bashar, but you know what they say about worldliness.
Yeah, speaking of, Friday, you're dead. What are you doing here?
Well, you know, just hanging out, I guess.
We let her come back to watch.
Yeah, I'm just here to sit and admire all your faces as you also die one by one horribly. Friendship is magic. Yeah. So hi, I'm Friday, and tonight I will be playing not Jewel Tight Pants Bashar, since he's dead. So you'll be seeing me as the very mysterious Jane the Virgin. That's her name. That's her whole name.
I forgot about that.
Let's set the tone, set the mood after this, after like the lovely
Jane
reminder
the
of Tight
Virgin.
Pants Bashar. Let's transition from that to the spooky vibes. We'll be right back, everybody. That was the wrong video. That's weird. Haven't touched that scene since last week when it showed the right video.
We love that.
Great. Like, who sent gremlins into our scenes? That's fine.
It was me.
Hold on. If everyone talk about who you think is going to be the most tragic, while I fix that scene real fast.
Harriet.
Well, only because we've known her the longest, but like, I don't know, me and
okay.
Sister Agnes.
Sister frickin' Agnes.
I do kind of wish now that I'd given Sister Agnes like a Midwestern accent.
Oh!
Sister Agnes plenty, thank you. You gave her spectacles and spectacles.
She's got little spectacles.
Little spectacles.
We do
Oh,
love the
yeah.
spectacles.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Yeah.
is Jane gonna be tragic Friday?
Well, it's at least gonna be real weird.
Let's say yes.
Yes.
So yes.
I want Agnes to
gracious.
die in Harriet's arms.
You
I want
are-
her to be like, I knew you'd save me, and then like die.
Okay,
see,
now I'm already
smelling
getting
the
a little
candle.
sad. All right, let's try this take 2.
Yeah,
I swear to God, stream, be spooky. All right. So last we left off, Harriet and Sister Agnes and Jules have been exploring the depths of the catacomb. They discovered a room surrounded by monstrous skulls and 3 sarcophagi in the room. One was opened already, marked with a sun and a droplet motif on it. And 2 were closed, but not for long. Jules opened one that had a lion with a keyhole on its chest engraved on it, and the sarcophagus behind him cracked open as well, releasing them. Since then, Harriet, Agnes, and Jules have been running from these creatures and found themselves in another secret room surrounded by treasures of glittering gold, but soon terrible, weird shadow hand creatures that also had a gun, which, I mean, is just a really bad combination.
I forgot about the gun.
Unfortunate.
In those moments, a candle was blown out, and Jules perished, leaving us with some world building to do.
All right.
So we are going to list 7 facts that are true, and I believe, Eugenio, it is your turn to start off the round.
I believe that is true. So let's start our candle 7 with the world is dark and the whispers speak truth.
The whispers speak truth. Ooh. That brings it up to me. The world is dark, and they are in the room. Friday.
All right, we don't deserve this.
The world is dark, and she has been collecting.
She has been collecting.
I never understand yours and always hate them.
TK, the world is dark.
Was a compliment.
The world is dark. Faith is not enough.
Faith is not enough.
How dare you?
Eugenio, we're
you?
back to you.
Suffer.
The world is dark and Sister Agnes has a ingrown toenail. No.
Oh
the
my
world
God.
is dark.
I don't deserve this.
World, you don't. Well, the world is dark and the world is dark and the walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in.
Really feels like something for a much later candle, but now it's out in the world.
Yes,
So.
I like it. The world is dark, and she recognizes you. Friday.
The world is dark, and she is chosen.
She is chosen,
Mm-hmm.
and she is chosen.
Who is she?
And we are alive. We fade back into the same room, the gunshots still echoing off the walls. Jules' body, or what's left of it, is crumpled on the floor. And there's a white ghostly figure who's run into the room, pointed up to the chandelier that stretches into this vertical tunnel. And she says, "We must climb." What does she look like, Friday?
This is a slender, waifish, delicate young woman of, about 21 years old. She's got white blonde hair that hovers about her head almost like a halo and glows in the little light that is in the room. Where her body is slender and delicate at the joints, her eyes, on the other hand, are fierce and a little bit wild. She's barefoot and in a flowing white nightgown, clearly befitting someone from middle class, but in very poor repair and dirty and tattered around the edges.
Harriet, this person, someone who's run into this room is urging you to climb, but you also know that there is a table covered in scrolls and parchments and books in this room. You came down here for information, and that could be what you seek.
I don't know who this is. The fact that they are speaking to us leads to believe that it's not whatever's been chasing us, but that does not mean that Harriet trusts or is willing to be distracted. So I think I will turn to Sister Agnes and say, grab what you can before we go. And I will just run over and start taking armfuls of whatever I can. If they do the scrolls look like, I know they're old, do they look like they're gonna like dust as soon as I touch them?
They
or
don't look like they're going to like immediately
okay.
crumble.
Okay, so yeah, we'll just grab. I will just grab and then go, because I trust her or not, it does seem the only way out. So
yeah. There's shadows pooling where Jules' body is, where you would expect blood to be. And the figure in white opens up a small cinched pouch and takes out a handful of, you recognize the sound of rattling bone, and you notice that in her hands are teeth. Also, content warning, there's going to be teeth stuff in this stream.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, y'all. Holds teeth. Blood trickling between her fingers, and tosses them to the shadows. The shadows kind of surround the teeth a bit, and they don't pursue you, at least yet. In the meantime, though, as that figure stands there buying you some time, Friday, what is Jane doing?
Jane herself is in the next room over, watching through a doorway where no one can see her. She's looking at her doppelganger, and she's looking at the scene before her, and she's observing and gathering information for herself about the visitors to the catacombs, these new adventurers who she's been following at a distance but has yet to make herself known to.
The white figure finds a rope amidst the treasure and is trying to throw it up, drape it over the chandelier so that everyone may climb. Hurry, Harriet, Sister Agnes. There's no time for this. We need to climb as quickly as possible. We need to get to the surface.
Oh, that whips Harriet around rather quickly, because no, we sure do not.
Yeah, Agnes levels her short sword at her.
What do you say or do?
I don't actually think Harriet stops gathering things, but as Sister Agnes's steel comes out, Harriet turns to this figure and says, "A misstep. What are you?"
I'm just someone who's been stuck here. I'm eager to see the sun and the sky again. And she takes her hand and kind of presses against the papers that you were trying to pick up, holding them to the table. They'll only slow you down.
Agnes draws her crucifix parry and like gets between this ghostly figure and Harriet.
What are you doing?
If Harriet tells her to strike, she will.
I just saved you. The shadows, they would have attacked you otherwise if I weren't here.
Did you save us or yourself?
I didn't have to run into this room. I could have escaped on my own. I've been following you, and I know you're in danger, and I think we should all escape together.
Harriet is going to look to Sister Agnes just to gauge her response to this.
Agnes is like willing and ready to kill her if Harriet tells her to.
Cool. Then seeing exactly what she probably knew she would see, but very happy about it nonetheless, Harriet will turn to this figure and say, "Your help was invaluable, and I thank you. Whatever you believe in, may it protect you, but we must press on. Escape if you will. You have my thanks. That is all I'm willing to give."
Jane, from the doorway, you are seeing this tense exchange, seeing this creature that looks exactly like you, pleading for everybody to climb. What do you do?
Take a crucifix that I stole from someone else who died down here. One of the items in my pouch of goodies that I've been collecting from people over the years. Throw it into the room at the doppelganger. See if I can hit her in the face.
Cool. Roll me a conflict roll. The dice pool is 7 dice. You need a 6 to succeed, and I will be rolling against your roll with my 16 dice.
Don't forget to lie.
I did get a 6.
Excellent.
Hey.
Good job.
All right. So I have, with 4 6s, I have narrative control. So you throw this crucifix into the room, and with your success, you do strike this creature. And for a moment, you see the ghostly figure in front of you lose her composure. She makes this hissing noise and bumps into you, Agnes, as she spins around, and she points to the doorway where Jane is standing, and says, "A doppelganger. This creature is mimicking me. It's been following me."
Can we see Jane if we look in that direction?
I'm extremely pale and wearing all white, and my hair is very blonde. There's a little light bouncing around. I have to imagine I'm not doing a great job hiding.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Another
That said-
ghostly figure, almost glowing in the doorway.
Yeah, I would say that Agnes did have the torch, but did set it down on the ground to grab their crucifix parry and small sword. So whatever light that gives us.
I think if Harriet sees what was thrown, then that is enough for her to make a decision about which one of these two creatures to trust. And I will just turn to Sister Agnes, end it.
Yeah, if Harriet tells her to, she'll strike.
Absolutely. Make me a conflict roll. I believe
How
your
many
dice
do I
pool
get?
is still 7.
Well, I did.
Oh, did you roll a 1?
She did.
Oh, okay.
I'll be the one that says it, so you don't have to.
6 then.
How dare you? Truly.
I know.
Out of all
You
those dice,
monsters.
only 2 successes.
Well, it may not matter.
Hear
None.
me out. What are 3s and 2s, but
No.
the ingredients to create a 6 mathematically?
You make a 5.
Do you really like that?
Well,
No,
okay,
two.
let's say multiplication.
Yeah.
What are
Did you get
smaller
any
numbers, but
ones,
pieces
at
of
least?
bigger numbers?
Yeah, well, you get it. You see what's going on.
Numbers are abstract concepts.
It's
anyway.
merely the sum of its parts. Like,
Did you get any ones at least?
no, I didn't.
Oh.
Okay, so I will take those 6 dice and add
Honey, oh,
them to my
please.
pool. And another candle is about to go out.
I can't believe this.
And this is what happens. Agnes lunges forward with her short sword into the stomach of the false Jane. You see, instead of blood, that same shadowy substance kind of oozing forward in little tendrils. And spreading across the creature's body as the illusion disappears. She steps forward, pressing the short sword deeper into her body, but acting unhindered by the wound. And Harriet, you see for a moment, is it someone who looks like you, like Henrietta, but also not exactly either of you. A little older. Her nose a little bit different. Her eyes shaped slightly differently, but enough similarities to jar you. As she reaches her arm out, her arm stretching longer than any arm ought to, and with her bare hands snuffs out the torchlight. When we open the next scene, we will not be in this chamber any longer. But we have some truths to create. So we have 6 candles lit now. These things are true. The world is dark. And the world is dark. And she's hunting. Friday.
The world is dark, and the world is dark, and our most potent weapon is love.
Oh my gosh. This
I'm doing
potent
it.
weapon is
That's my final
love.
answer.
I'm putting multiple O's.
Yes, dear.
TK.
The world is dark and 2s counts as successes. No, that's not true. I can't let that happen because it would affect them as well. And
Yeah.
I don't deserve this. The world is dark and nothing is TK's fault. God, I didn't expect to be back here so soon.
I know.
My fault. The world is dark. The world is dark and upside down.
The world is upside down. All right. Eugenio.
The world is dark. And what's the verb I wanted to do here? The adverb I want to use here. and she almost remembers.
She almost remembers. The world is dark, and I also wasn't expecting to be back here so fast.
I think it's fascinating.
All right, I can kick my ass, but I don't need everybody else to help.
I think it's fascinating how much we like sit here and think about this as people who like design and play these games constantly. Like this is such an interesting and different mechanic. I love it.
Yeah. I love the constant world building and changing.
I don't deserve this.
The world is dark, and they've reached the surface.
Jesus.
Friday.
The world is dark, and she saw you snooping.
She saw you snooping, and
All right,
we are alive.
Ow.
In the darkness of that snuffed torch, there was chaos. Sister Agnes trying to attack what she cannot see. Harriet trying to hold onto and grab as much as she can in the darkness. And Jane trying to survive. You all heard the door to that chamber close, and truly the only way to escape was up. And so you all climbed. As you climbed, you heard running water. And Agnes and Harriet, you would recognize this as the underground river that you had traveled to journey down into the catacombs. The scene opens up with the three of you in a boat traveling upstream. You don't see any traces. You haven't seen any traces of the false Jane following you. But it's quiet, except for the drip of moisture into the river and your paddle in the water and out and in again. What are you all doing?
Harriet is silent. If there was any necessary communication about Jane coming with us, that happened, but she's been silent since. So she's sort of sitting at the back of the little boat, staring out into the darkness. And if anyone were to look particularly closely, they could see that she is holding her hands clasped very tightly. But even so, every now and again, they tremble just a little bit. And the cheek that is turned away from her two companions in the rest of the boat just has a little rivulet of tears.
As you're traveling, the tunnel around the river, the ceiling to the tunnel is growing smaller and smaller. Your heads are like skimming the ceiling. And it feels like the walls are pressing around you. The one upside to that sort of claustrophobic feeling is that there's this softly glowing, like bioluminescent algae or moss on the walls of this wet tunnel. And so there's a little bit of light, just enough that if you wanted to look at some of the information that you had taken, it is there in the boat with you.
I think after a little while, well, no, anyway, for Harriet, I think she just really, unless someone addresses her, tries to get her attention, or asks her a question, I think she's just there.
What is Sister Agnes doing?
Sister Agnes has gone back to like a very sort of militant, sort of Spartan attention span, can only really focus on one thing at a time. And because she has noticed that Harriet does not regard Jane as a threat, the thing that she chooses to focus on is the scrolls that she was able to grab. So she'll be going through them and trying to decipher them and make like something has to make it worth it. And if it's the scrolls, it's the scrolls.
Okay. We'll get back to you in one moment. What is
Thanks.
Jane doing?
Jane has not been this close to living topsiders who aren't bleeding out actively for a while. So she's silently delighted to see people. And every now and again, she'll lean very close to one of them under the guise of just playing with, the pliers that she found, the teeth that she's been collecting, a compass, etc. All of her goodies that she's been hoarding in her little pouch. She'll lean very close to Agnes or Harriet and just kind of smell them a little bit. So she's just enjoying herself.
When I don't think, wildly enough, I don't think Harriet notices Jane sniffing her. But when Jane gets close enough to sniff her, you hear under Harriet's breath, Harriet sort of quietly says, "She was always the heroine." That's all.
Sister Agnes, roll me a conflict roll as you pour through these scrolls and books for information.
You promise you'll be nice to me?
No.
If I don't?
No.
Lisa.
Also,
You know
let's
what?
be very clear about what has happened during this game. It is your dice.
Yeah,
They
I'm
are
starting
cursed.
to. Yeah, I'm starting to feel like I should take responsibility for this, and I'm not going to.
No, blame the right people. Blame the dice. People, dice. It's fine.
All
Dice are
right.
people too, apparently.
God.
Speaking of, I'm really mad at Lisa's bag of people dice over there.
My bag of what dice?
People dice, because apparently dice are people.
Bag of people. But I didn't want it to sound creepy, so I said people dice.
Because that's
all
not
my
creepy.
D6s I have prepared.
My God.
So sorry.
How'd it go, Agnes?
Let me just take a picture with my phone real quick.
Oh, you have to be joking.
All ones.
God, I wish.
No.
That would be great, because then at least Lisa wouldn't get 6 more to add to her
Yeah.
pool.
Jesus, I wish it were all ones. God, what I wouldn't do for all ones. I would kill anyone here. Maybe not Lisa. For all ones. Unfortunately.
Oh no.
Oh, did you? Is that what that is?
I just
What's wrong with you?
Lady.
I don't know.
Oh
Sorry.
my God.
Friend.
I don't even have time to enact the truths we've already set.
I'm so sorry.
Sister Agnes. Sister Agnes is trying to find truths in the scrolls, and she just falls out of the boat.
Yes.
She's just like, oh, this reading is so intense.
Yeah.
Over she goes.
It just throws the scrolls into the water.
Meanwhile, Harriet's like, that was the table of contents.
This is what happens. Jane, you are leaning in to sniff Harriet and hear just those words when the boat suddenly tips over. the three of you fall in the water. And as you are treading to try to get back up to the surface, treading to get back up to the surface, you see that soft glow down the tunnel start to dim, and that shadow rushing forward until it fully consumes the three of you, and you are separated. And another candle goes out.
I have time to relight my last one.
All right. We have some truths to create. These things are true. The world is dark. Friday, you are starting us off this time.
I'm going to stay real on theme and say the world is dark and shadows don't show underwater.
Cool.
Shadows don't show underwater. TK, the world is dark.
The world is dark and the only way out is down.
The only way out is down. Eugenio.
The world is dark, and we are not the first to fall.
We are not the first to fall. The world is dark, and she saves Harriet. Friday, the world is dark.
The world is dark and the world is dark and the moss shows the way.
The moss shows the way. All right. The three of you have plunged underwater. Jane, you're a little more accustomed to being down here. I feel like your eyes adjust more swiftly than a topsider. And consumed in shadow, you see in the far distance a soft glow. And you know that that is the only guiding light that you see. What do you do?
Underwater, I'll grab Harriet and Agnes by the hands if they're both within reach. If I can find them, whoever I can find around, I'll grab by the hand and start kicking furiously toward the light.
Absolutely. You are able to find someone's hand in the darkness, although it's where you are right now is very dark and shadowy. The only light you see is in the distance, but you do feel a hand, a wrist.
Cool.
Yeah. So you grab that hand?
I sure will.
All
Is
right.
it cold, real cold and clammy? I mean, so cold in the water.
I hate it so much.
It doesn't feel particularly cold or clammy, but it is struggling against you.
Oh, good. Okay. That's weirdly a great thing right now. I'll take it. Yeah. Kick my dainty little virgin sacrifice feet toward the light.
All right. You kick towards the light. Sister Agnes, something grabs your wrist and starts dragging you through the water. What do you do?
Oh, God. I'm going to say Agnes can swim, even though I, TK, cannot. So it's like a lot of kicking legs, but then also a lot of like attempting to punch. Like everything that I have encountered in here has tried to kill me. So I'm punching.
All right.
Don't make me roll.
I'm going to say that you, well, what would you like to happen? I know that you want Sister Agnes to be punching at what is dragging her, but what does TK want to narratively happen?
TK wants to not roll.
Okay.
Whatever resolution can be had without rolling, that's the one for me.
Really good.
All right. You, Jane, you feel something bash against your arm. But as you said, this is strangely comforting given the circumstances. So you tighten your grip and continue swimming forward. Meanwhile, Harriet, your head hurts. You fell out of the boat and hit your head on the bottom of this river. The world feels upside down to you. You don't know which way is up in the darkness, and it feels like it's pressing against you. But you also feel something grab your wrist and start swimming downstream. What do you do?
Can I also see the little light that, oh my God, what's your name? Jane was swimming towards?
You do. It's behind you.
Mm-hmm. And we're going away from it the way I'm being pulled?
Yes.
I think at first, I think when Harriet hits her head, she's sort of dazed, and for a moment she is back in Honeyfield? Field?
Yeah.
Field? Been a minute. She's back in Honeyfield, and her and Henrietta are running around the house. They're young, they're little. And Henrietta is hiding somewhere, and I, as Harriet, I am looking for her, and as Harriet finds Henrietta crouching behind a little credenza in their father's office, Harriet taps Henrietta on the shoulder and triumphantly announces, "I, Henri Cluett, master monster hunter, have found you, foul beast." And that's when something grabs my wrist. And I don't know what it is, but remembering, not even the right sister, but a sister, reminds Harriet why she's here and what she's doing. And this thing doesn't want me to go, well, when I phrase it this way, go towards the light. But I want to go towards the light. This all sounds terrible. So I'm actually gonna fight against whatever's grabbing me, just sort of out of instinct.
Yes. Make me a conflict roll with a dice pool of 5.
Well, okay, I got a 6 and a 1.
Okay. So you do succeed. I will have narrative control, and the dice pool goes down to a 4. So you start to pull against this force grabbing your wrist, and you're able to twist your arm to break that hold, and you start swimming through the darkness as fast as you can toward the light. You do hear this weird burbling whisper through the water, and it tells you, I know you. Your blood is my blood. This legacy is yours. I choose you. Meanwhile, Jane, you are able to swim yourself and Sister Agnes up to the surface, to this little ledge on the side of the tunnel, so that you are able to cling to it as the river streams around you. Sister Agnes, you pop up as well and are able to cling to that ledge. But shadows don't show underwater. And so you two didn't realize that you were followed. Jane, Sister Agnes, as you are gasping for air, Jane next to you is abruptly dragged back underwater. What do you do?
Which of us was dragged under?
Jane was dragged under.
Yeah, fuck Jane. No, I'm just kidding. I'll jump back in.
All right, you jump in. And what is your aim?
Grab Jane and pull back, like hopefully like leverage strength against strength.
All right.
If there's like something I can hook my feet into, like a stone or like this is an underground river, so I assume there's like stones and nooks and crannies. Yeah.
All right, so you hold onto a stone and you reach out to grab Jane, trying to pull against the force that is dragging her under. Make me a conflict roll.
God, Jesus. So just the 4, right?
Just the 4.
There's no
Look,
way.
when it's only 4, nobody can blame you.
Yeah, I mean, what are the odds?
They're gonna do it.
I have to roll
fine,
my
they
dice
definitely
in
rolled
like
4
multiple
6s, right?
rolls.
Let me get my camera.
You know, I have to say, it's impressive.
Right?
It doesn't make
is.
sense. It's ungodly at this point.
Which is a real shame considering 2 of us are people of the cloth.
You know what? This is what I get because I'm not.
Hey, that's exactly what it is. It's 2 people
That's
who are
what it
not
is.
people of the cloth playing people of the
God
cloth.
glanced down upon me and was like,
Oh no.
I don't think so.
You said what? We'll
Well,
see.
Did you say you worked on Easter? Cool.
No.
Wow.
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 It doesn't make sense.
Wow,
For
someone
the
just could
people
take
in
those 4
chat-
dice, add them to my pool.
Yeah, for the people in chat, that's 2 4s, a 2, and a 3.
Okay.
Why am I here?
To drive the plot to its natural conclusion.
Its conclusion, truly. Now we do have another hour, so
Jesus
Sister Agnes
Christ.
doesn't get to roll again for a while.
Please.
Can another person, like in some way, just decide to change the rules of the game entirely in order to use their virtue card or something to like undo what TK just did to
You know what? I'm switching to digital dice.
Yeah.
Can I use the, like
I'm
Yeah,
switching
it's like
to
the thing is she's
digital.
not even rolling 1, so you can't, or they're not even rolling 1, so you can't use the virtue or vice.
I know, it's the
I know
worst.
it.
Like I can't do anything. I'm switching to digital.
Yes.
I'm gonna make a whole Roll20 game just to.
So I
I am
would
really
like to,
glad we have these pictures to memorialize this, though.
Yeah. Jane, what is a recurring nightmare that Jane has been having as she's stuck down here?
Thanks for asking. Jane has a recurring nightmare that I'm gonna be real on the nose and then I'm gonna make it weird. Okay. Jane has a recurring nightmare that exactly this happens, where she's dragged underwater by forces that she can't see and she's powerless to stop it. And then at that moment, her bones snap and it's like a glow stick. She's illuminated from within. And suddenly the shadows are driven back and she's in control of her own fate. But
Isn't that nice?
she drowns anyway.
That would be so lovely.
That would be great. It is still a nightmare. She does still drown. It's not enough, but her bones snap and she becomes bioluminescent herself in her dreams.
Okay. This is what happens then. Agnes, you are pulling on Jane's arm, trying to pull her back to the surface, but you feel her fingers loosening from your grip. You just have if you could just like adjust your grip, maybe you could drag her back out, but suddenly with a tug, Jane is flung through the water. Harriet, you are swimming as with like strong strokes. You see the light growing and growing, and then suddenly you see like a silhouette over that light as Jane's body is lashed through the water towards you like a projectile, and knocks into you, and you start flowing back with the river's current. It knocks all the wind out of you. Agnes, you turn back to that mossy wall, and in that glowing light, you are the only one who sees the shadow. growing like a giant arm, reaching down towards you. You feel yourself dragged under the water as well, flung down the current. And a candle goes out. We have 4 candles now, yes. Wait, I need to adjust this. Boop, boop, boop. Put out a candle. 4 candles now. 4 candles. These things are true. The world is dark.
Oh.
TK.
Let me look at this. So there's 4 of them. So okay, we'll each get 1 turn and then 1. The world is dark. And nothing ever ends.
Nothing ever ends. Eugenio, the world is dark.
The world is dark. And they'll get what they came for.
They'll get what they came for. The world is dark, and masks are off. Friday.
The world is dark, and each gets what the other deserves.
Ooh, that's what the other deserves. All right, and we are alive for now. 4 candles are lit. Harriet, the last image in your mind as you're first struck by Jane flung through the water like a rag doll, and then Sister Agnes, is the entire underwater river illuminated. And in that moment, you're seeing shadowy arms from all directions reaching toward you. But where could that light have come from? What could have illuminated the whole underwater river? Strange, must have been because you hit your head. But what you know now is that you are downriver from where you were. There is a waterfall next to you, and the 3 of you have been dragged onto a ledge. There's a 4th figure there with you.
I think as soon as I notice the 4th figure, I will, moving as little as possible, try to position myself to get a better look at who or what it is.
The figure you see is in the same gown as Jane, curled in, sitting upright but in sort of a fetal position. The gown is drenched wet, blonde hair dripping over her face. And the head turns over its shoulder as it hears you stir, and the neck elongates and twists as the head approaches you, the body unmoving, and the face starts to change, just half of the face. The skin tone becomes a little deeper like yours, the eye changes color, the hair starts to brown. And she said, I thought I'd choose a figure that might comfort you, but you ran.
Having been found out, Harriet will sit up fully. Who are you?
I think you know.
You cannot be. You cannot be. What are you then?
Cluett.
You cannot be Henri Cluett. You can't. She's a hero. She's my only hope.
Les trois chasseurs, she says. And Sister Agnes, that actually stirs something in your mind. As you had been looking over the scrolls in the boat, you saw the same French words over and over again in these writings, in different handwritings. Les chasseurs monstrueux.
Do you mind writing that out for me?
Absolutely. Let me put it in our Discord.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's French, isn't it? Is that Old French? Yeah.
We're going to pretend it's Old French.
Okay. Old enough. We've already established that Agnes does not speak French and had to rely on Jules for that. But I think just hearing something that they had seen a lot would ring alarm bells, because I think in the boat ride they may have like leaned over to Jane or something and said, how do you pronounce this, or tried to ask Harriet, and if Harriet was interested, maybe weighed in or something. So I think they do recognize it, and I think that they do have like alarm bells, but they're not like helpful alarm bells. They're just like, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm. If Sister Agnes had asked Jane, who presumably is a native to the area, what les chasseurs monstrueux would mean, what would Jane have told her?
Monster shoes. That's I'm sorry. That's what that means, right?
I don't think so.
Monstreux. Oh, I just looked at it. I was hearing monstreux, like monstrous, and I was like, that's monster shoes. But okay, monstreux.
Les chasseurs, or the chasers.
Oh, okay, well, I'm so glad that I said that and made myself look like a dumbass before reading it in the chat.
Yeah, we speak Spanish. It's fine.
You know what? I do actually speak French. I just missed.
Oh, no!
So if it was what I heard, I would have been correct. It just didn't make sense, and I went for it anyway. Yeah, like monster chasers, the people who are chasing you, creatures.
Jane would realize that particular use of monstreux means monstrous hunters.
So it's like, yeah, I think Jane would have imparted that it was like an adjective. It was in an adjective form. Do you how does she say it? How does this figure say it?
She just says les chasseurs, the hunters.
I wonder if am I awake enough to have followed this conversation at all?
Yes, you can also have been awake.
This is me asking as a player to a game master. Do you suppose that I would interpret that she's describing herself from the context of the conversation?
Yeah, I feel like you can understand what Harriet is saying. Harriet has just said, you can't be this person. You can't. And she sort of nods and says this word that you've heard Jane pronouncing for you.
I think that like Agnes would like struggle to her feet and then like try to move in between Harriet and the figure.
Harriet, what do you do? What do you say?
I think when she says that, Harriet suddenly becomes a little more sort of alert and snaps up and shakes her head and just says, "No, that's wrong." And I don't know French, but I will say in French what Harriet has always been told was the name, which is the Monster Hunters, not the Monstrous Hunters.
Mm-hmm. And I think what is dawning upon Harriet is that whether it was a mistranslation
Mm-hmm.
or wishful thinking to rewrite your family history, that this ancestor of yours, you had always been told, was one of the first monster hunters, someone you looked up to, someone you wanted to emulate. But now you're being told she's something else.
If, when this figure sort of points out my error, as opposed to me pointing out her error, it just, like you said, like it dawns, it realizes, it crashes, and it can't be avoided. And in one final sort of almost maybe childish, uh, fit of piquancy, Harriet just grabs the rosary that she has not touched since we came to the catacombs. She just grabs it, rips it off of her belt, and throws it at my great aunt. But not really. I mean, I think at the last moment, I'll sort of hold on to it a little longer so that it goes wide, because I don't have any interest in actually hurting her at this point. But I just throw it, and you sort of can hear it clatter off in the distance, and just breaks down.
Mm-hmm. Sister Agnes, you've been on this journey with Harriet for a while, so you've probably heard of her talk about Henriet Cluett, her ancestor. And so you perhaps are having some version of the same realization. And I'm wondering what's going on in Sister Agnes's head.
I think that Sister Agnes sees that this is an incredibly emotional time. That said, Sister Agnes has constantly like put her life on the line in defense of Harriet numerous times, unquestioningly. And it's like now that Agnes is like soaked, broken, bruised, and demoralized from failure again and again, those last few seconds of just seeing, even like intellectually rationalizing it, but still seeing Harriet rip her own rosary off and toss it to the side. I think that's the first time that Agnes like steps from between a threat and Harriet and just goes and picks up the rosary and just stands there and stares at it.
And what is Jane doing as all of this transpires?
Jane's frantically searching the water for her bag. Her little baggie has gotten twisted up in her nightgown. She's trying to disentangle it as this whole interaction is going on. Jane has no emotional connection to the stories of these people, only to their aliveness in proximity to her. And she's trying to find the teeth that she carries with her everywhere as a tribute to the creatures that are down here. So hopefully finding them to throw them at things.
is notable because Jane, you are, as you're less emotionally invested in what's going on, just frantically searching yourself for these teeth, you do notice that the shadows from the glow of the moss and algae by this ledge are moving slightly, swaying. Not your shadows, but shadows from something else are creeping forward. As they creep forward, the head of this figure, Henri, snaps back as the rosary is thrown at her. And she has transformed fully back into herself. The sort of clear recognition that this is a descendant or ancestor of Harriet and Henrietta's and Eddie's. But her skin is worn in some spots where you can see bone. Her ancient age shows. And she walks forward with her hand and brushes against Harriet's cheek, wiping a tear. And then, Harriet, you feel a sting as her long, sharp nails pierce your cheek, make a neat cut, and your blood dribbles onto her fingers. Agnes and Jane, you see the creature kind of lick the blood, and those worn bits, that ancient age, starts to fade. You see a little bit of rosiness come into her cheeks.
Can I add, this is a player rules question.
Yes.
Which is the one that we have to use last?
That is the brink.
Which is the I will find hope, or the one from another player?
The one from another player. So you could
Okay.
say that this is your moment.
Yeah, I think it is. Shall I read what the moment was?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I will find hope when truth emerges from tragedy. And what greater tragedy than learning that the hero from my family's past that sent me not just here, but to the Abbey of the Weeping Rose in the first place, is not what I thought. But perhaps if she could survive, if she could be more than even I imagined, even if it's not good in the way that I imagined, then maybe there is hope for Eddie, if not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have to make a conflict roll for this
Yes,
one, right?
you do.
What candle are we on? I've lost track.
You
Four,
have
right?
four
Okay.
dice.
Okay. Well, I too am consistent, so it's a 6 and a 1.
All right. So you gain a hope die. Hope is not lost. The dice
Rub it in.
I'm sorry.
Fine.
And describe what this like glimmering hope feels like for Harriet.
Yeah, it's kind of a dark hope. I think it's a couple of phases. I think the truth is the first part, and the truth is not just that Great Aunt Honoré is in fact a monstrous hunter, but it's also that I think Harriet has realized that the odds of her leaving these catacombs unchanged, leaving it all maybe, leaving unchanged probably not, are very slim. But the hope from that is that there is something after, and it is not mindless hunger. It is not depraved cruelty and evil. It is coherent. And it may be frightening and monstrous, but it is not pure evil. And if I have any bit of goodness left in me, then that might be enough to get help to Eddie.
You look up at this figure. She stands over you, but then crouches so that you are gazing face to face. And she says in broken English with a French accent I'm not going to attempt.
Sure.
What brought you here? if not to raise me.
My sister. She is afflicted.
Afflicted?
We used to pretend to be you. And I guess even when we grew up, we didn't stop pretending. But the things we fought were very, very real. But you already knew that. And so Eddie was bitten. And she will change, and I'm here to help her if I can. Can I?
As you said that Eddie was bitten, a smile spreads across Henri's face. So it's begun then. There
begun,
is...
but not finished. Sorry, go ahead.
There is a cure. We became monsters because we were hunted ourselves. Our 3 bloods could create power unlike any other. That is your legacy. But there's so much more that can be done than undoing this. Your sister is not cursed. She's blessed. And you could cure her. But I don't think that's what I want. And she turns and starts walking away, and says, "Keep my blood alive. I will need her. Do what you want with the other 2. And those creeping shadows become shadows of arms, and arms multiplying and rising from all around you, grabbing at Agnes and Jane. What do you all do?
Jane will, realizing that once again she's been put in a position where she's going to be sacrificed against her will to the monsters of the deep here, does what she's done before and sacrifices someone else to try to spare herself. It's nothing personal, Agnes. Jane will 100% get behind Agnes and try to make herself as invisible as possible while trying to push Agnes in the path of these shadows, all the while surrounding herself in a ring of teeth.
In a ring of teeth. Fantastic. I'm really glad that phrase was spoken in our game. And what is Agnes doing?
Agnes is like, first of all, dissociating. Missed the whole conversation after the rosary, but is just like standing there, like going over every bead between the fingers, and suddenly like blinks, snaps to, and they are surrounded by these shadows, and Jane is behind her and pushing her forward. Agnes has never been in a position where she has thought someone was attempting to do something like that, to like take advantage of her in that way, and she's not about to now. Her assumption is that Jane needs protecting, and what she does is she grabs her own rosary and wraps them both around her fists and gets in a boxer stance. Cool. And she looks over her shoulder to Jane and says, "Go."
May I request that Jane is kind of impenetrable right now, as we've established that the shadows can't deal with teeth, human teeth.
Mm-hmm.
She's not budging. She's safe in her ring of teeth on the floor. She's protected herself with magic.
Yeah. Like that's not something that's
Totally.
crossing. That's even a factor for Agnes. Like she tells Jane, she's like, run. And she looks over at Harriet and she just like kind of, she makes like a face that's full of like, that face that you make when people tell you not to meet your heroes. Everything that Harriet has felt for Henri, Agnes now feels for Harriet. She doesn't even tell Harriet to go. She knows she will.
And what does Harriet do?
She does hesitate. She looks back at Agnes and Jane. She looks to Henri and she calls out to her however many greats aunt, you will help me. And she runs to where Sister Agnes is, and puts herself between the shadows and Sister Agnes after hearing the commands to leave me be. Obviously they're around and I can't be everywhere, but I will try to do that. Does Sister Agnes still have her, I'm assuming no, because we're punching, but do you still have your swords?
No, I assume that I lost my swords
I did too.
3 candles ago.
Oh, TK's
Strange.
like, I don't deserve swords.
Take them from me.
Are there any other, either maybe on Jane or well, probably not on Agnes at this point, or maybe lying on the ground somewhere. Is there anything sharp or weapony looking anywhere within reach?
There might be blunt rocks. Does Jane have something stolen? I see you wanting to interject.
Oh.
Jane has a small mother of pearl handled dagger that she stole from an adventurer that's belted on, that's attached to her goodie belt of stolen objects. She also has Jules' pliers that he used to pull those gold teeth out of that skull that he lost. She has them in her hand.
In that case, Harriet is going to go for that dagger and try to take it away.
All right. So now we have to decide who is the acting player here. I feel like I want to say TK because I want to see shadow punching, but also it feels cruel to make TK roll.
It absolutely does. I would like to have my moment and find hope, though.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Agnes Van Hop will find hope in her companion's safeties through her actions.
All right. Standing against these shadows. Absolutely. So make us a conflict roll to find hope.
How many die am I allowed to put into the
you get
computer? 3 plus hope die, or 3 and then if
hopefully earn a hope die.
Jesus.
I can hear you typing the answer that I was about to type.
Also, as TK makes a dread roll, hi, Raiders. Welcome. You are catching us in the final scenes of our 10 Candles game. Some tragic horror. Oh, no. No! TK.
You must be joking.
It's me.
TK has pretty much failed every single roll.
Every roll.
And all these candles glowing are TK's fault.
It's not real failing, it's just mediocrity that leads to our sudden death.
Okay.
So we got a 4, a 5, and a 2, baby.
It's amazing.
So
it's incredible.
Before we narrate this candle going out, TK, What does it look like or feel like for Sister Agnes to grasp for hope and find none there?
Oof, good question. I think that Agnes wanted to ensure her companion's safety, or at least hope that they would have the brains to ensure their own safety. But with no knowledge of Jane's magic and Harriet coming back for some reason just to put them even more in jeopardy, Agnes like starts to swing. And then I think what Agnes does is, they're on a ledge.
Yes.
I think Agnes turns around and with all of her strength picks up Harriet and tosses her into the waterfall. And she just screams, "I said go."
Right as Harriet... Well, I kind of want to know what's going through Harriet's mind as that happens.
No idea. I mean, I think the instinct reaction, right, is just to, dead weight, don't move, fight against it. But actually, when you say throw Harriet into the waterfall, are we talking a waterfall that Harriet is going to survive a toss from?
Oh, TK, if you're talking, you're muted.
I think that's Agnes's intention, yes.
Okay, great. That's what I thought. So actually, she's gonna make it so much worse. But I think she fights against Sister Agnes and does not want to get thrown.
Okay. All right. So this is what happens then, as this candle goes out. Sister Agnes, this building pressure, this draining hope, lunges to grab Harriet. Harriet struggling against Agnes's strength. And in the struggle, disrupt that magical circle of protective teeth. It's the moment the shadows were waiting for. You see those hands reach out, start grabbing the teeth. They disappear into the shadow. And then they come back. They grab Jane. You feel yourself lifted. And below you, you see them shove Agnes and Harriet over the ledge. And a candle goes out. We're down to 3 candles. Let me adjust our overlay here. 3 candles. The end is coming for all 3 of you. These things are true. The world is dark. TK, you're starting us off this time, I believe.
I'm so sorry. I've been typing notes this whole time
for
the meta.
Yeah.
Gosh, will you please? And Google Docs is very angry with me. The world is dark. Gosh, this is this is a hard one too. The world is dark and she is a liar.
She is a liar. Eugenio, the world is dark.
The world is dark, and all paths converge.
And all paths converge. The world is dark. Ooh, I'm ending this one. Okay. The world is dark, and She will do anything to keep Harriet alive.
That's what I'm hoping.
All right. We open up this scene with Jane separated from Agnes and Harriet. Last you saw, they were pushed over the ledge, and now you are in a small cavern filled with teeth. And you have just been left there in this collection. It is dark. What would Jane do?
In the dark, in a chamber full of teeth, alone again, so close to being possibly rescued and taken out of here again. Years and years of knowing that she's a human sacrifice who's lived way longer than her shelf date. Jane, at this point, believes in her own magic to a degree that magical thinking is all that she has, and no one else is coming for her. So she'll try it just in case. Jane is going to take the pliers still in her hand and break one of her own finger bones just to see if the translucency and the bioluminescence of her own inherent magic in this place is what it is when she dreams.
Woof. We see Jane holding the pliers in one hand, opening them, and starting to close them around one of her fingers. In the meantime, Harriet and Agnes, you wake being pummeled by this waterfall. You are bruised and not quite broken. But the two of you seem to be there alone. What do you do?
Harriet immediately will call out for Honoré and not care how loud she's being about it.
She seems to appear almost as if out of nowhere, walking through that curtain of water. Have you come around?
Why do you need me?
We're more powerful together.
I think Harriet is just, she knows enough to know that it's not drivel, but not enough to have any clue what that means. And she's frustrated and she's confused and she doesn't like not knowing. And so I think we've just fallen off of this thing. She just pounds her fist on the ground and says, "What does that mean?"
The three bloods have been asleep for so long. One of us escaped. Vampire, they called us, or him. But the two of us slept, and you have woken us. If I'm to continue living, then we must do it together. This power cannot be lost. And she steps forward and kind of clutches your wrist.
And does the power require Eddie to be changed?
Your sister has been blessed with one of the three bloods. You should be happy for her.
You said there was a cure. Whether or not Edwina needs it, it exists.
The three bloods combined can do many things.
I think Harriet is as stunned and speechless as I am right now. Yeah, I don't. I think what's relevant and important, and what no doubt my aunt notices, and maybe Agnes too, is that there is way more hesitance than Harriet would have ever imagined about this power and about vampires and shapeshifters and three bloods and it's just maybe not as clear as Harriet thought it was, at least not to her. And I think that's what's causing this hesitance, this hiccup.
When we slept, we knew that we were destined to rise again to power. And it seems like your sister, Edwina, and you are intertwined with that fate. If only you had a third sister.
Oh God, Harriet is going to try so hard not to betray Henrietta's existence in this moment and just say, 3 of us. That would be even worse, wouldn't it?
Oh, well, the shadows are not the most graceful or refined of the three bloods, but they are one of us, and they will need a vessel. It would be so poetic if there were 3 Cluetts. What is Agnes doing right now?
Yeah, Agnes begins to laugh. And she's just kneeling, knees down on the floor, hands spread across the stone, and just like weeping and laughing furiously. Both rosaries were lost when she went over the ledge. She has nothing. And it starts as this small whimper into a chuckle, into just this unhinged giggling. It would be poetic, wouldn't it? So fitting.
Still alive. Annoying.
Agnes just sits there and then looks up at Harriet and, you have everything. You don't even see it.
Sister, I don't.
It's okay. It's okay to be the hero. It's okay. Just don't forget who dies for you. It would be terrible if you had a third sister. Yeah. You should go.
Harriet looks at Agnes and eventually forces herself to look at Honoré and really see Honoré fully, not just this monster chasing us, also not just a means to my end of helping my youngest sister, but as a monster, as a killer and a blood drinker, not a vampire, but she enjoyed my blood, and as something that cannot be allowed to have the power that she wields currently, let alone reunited with the other three to have power beyond imagining. And I turn back to Agnes and I begin to reach out for her and change my mind, almost with the same motion that I used when avoiding my rosary. And I just say to Agnes, you reach for the trappings of our order and of your faith. You have always been stronger than I, and you have never needed those things. Thank you.
Agnes looks up at Harriet. When I came down here, I knew I'd die for you. But now, I think I'm dying for nothing. Go fulfill whatever great destiny you have. I am very tired. Agnes just lays her head down on the stone.
Honoré walks forward and puts her hand around Agnes's head like she is a doll, and twists Agnes's face toward her and just asks, "What are you hiding?"
Agnes just closes her eyes.
"What are you hiding, sister?"
Waits.
TK, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, I think that Agnes takes a very deep breath and reaches onto her belt to a flask that that Harriet handed her absentmindedly in the last episode, and just like reaches up and dumps it on Honoré's head. Doesn't matter what's in it. It just matters what Agnes believes is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Honoré screeches and bats at the flask so that it clatters into the shallow waters, the pool underneath the waterfall. Is Harriet staying or going?
Harriet sees that last little bit of defiance, and she stays. She moves behind Honoré so that she is in Agnes's line of sight. And she just looks Agnes in the eye and says, I will try to prove you wrong. And begins administering last rites.
Honore clutches at Agnes's body again, asking again and again, what are you hiding? What are you hiding? She starts to lift the body and smash it against the ground. This continues. Harriet hears the breaking of bone. And then it's just you and Honore in this tunnel. Jane, you close the pliers around your finger. It snaps. And this cavern of teeth lights up. The world is dark, but you are glowing. But in your glow, amidst these stacks of teeth, are shadows. Shadows that kind of dodge and hide behind the stacks, trying to get out of your light, trying to stay out of that light. What do you do? Oh, you might be muted.
That's certainly true. I was too emotional to unmute. Jane just needed to know for sure that she belonged here all along. She had come over the years to believe that she was one of the shadows, that she could be their pretty present, their gift, rather than something for them to devour. She's come to believe over the years that she wasn't a sacrifice, she's a gift. And she just had to know for sure. And this glow stick magic moment, her broken bone lighting up this cavern of teeth, has told her everything that she needs in her heart, that she always belonged here, and that this is her family now. And Jane will cover up her glow and let herself be consumed by her friends, because now she's giving herself as a gift. No one's sacrificing her. So she'll allow it to happen.
Goodness. All right. First of all, I want to make sure everyone's okay. Okay. Harriet, it's just you and the shadows and Honore in these catacombs.
Ooh. Thought she had a secret. What do you suppose it was, Auntie?
I'll find her.
What do you suppose that secret was?
We'll find her. And then the three blood, La Société de Trois Sangs, will rise again.
What makes you think that you will find her, and that if you did, that she would tell you anything?
I need you alive, but I don't need all of you. And she grabs Harriet and presses her against one of the stone walls. The shadows have joined after Jane. And one of those shadowy hands wraps against your throat. And she, Honoré, demands, where is she?
And Harriet smiles. And she says, we Cluetts are strong and we are smart. But we are also hot-tempered and sometimes foolish. Sister Agnes may not have been who you were looking for, but she bore the title of sister in more ways than I ever recognized. And if she can die for a sister, so can I.
What does Harriet do?
Harriet takes the pearl-handled dagger that Jane had, that she took from Jane in the last little moment there, and knowing that she can't hope to win, to overpower, she puts every ounce of strength she has left. She pictures Edwina and Henrietta, and she smiles, and she takes that strength and she breaks from the shadows and goes for Honoré, smiling the smile of the hopeless, the walking dead.
All right, roll me a conflict roll. There are 3 dice.
And your hope dice.
And your hope die.
Yeah.
Don't fuck this up, Eugenio.
Well, it's a good thing I had the hope die.
Yay!
That was a 5, which counts as a success on the hope die. And
Incredible.
then I had 2 1s.
Oof. Okay. So that means I've got to roll my 35 dice. Let's just roll a handful of them and see if I get more than 1 success.
I was gonna say all you need is 2.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
30 successes.
Yeah, just a general content warning to folks in chat that, I mean, if you haven't realized so far, there's sad, possibly just upsetting things happening. So be aware. If you have to tune out to protect yourself, we totally understand. All right. Harriet, you lunge forward and you've seen her struck by a blade before. But this one, the pearl dagger that was taken from Jane, lights up when it punctures Honoré. The shadow that you had used all of your strength to escape from starts to scatter. It goes from one large shadow to many hands of shadow crawling away. And Honoré is screeches and steps back off of the blade. You see her wound stitching together, not unexpected from what you saw before. And she just says, what can you hope from these foolish actions when I promise you everything? I promise you power over the world, you and your sisters. You can't stop this. Even without you, we're more powerful. than you alone.
Breathing heavy, still sort of smiling that sort of manic smile, just says, power. Yeah, yes. Look at you. Power without love, without family, without sunshine, without joy. My sisters can make their own choices. There is more on Earth than I could have ever conceived, even with my training what it was. Perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps everything I was taught was wrong, or at least filtered and edited and censored and redacted and incomplete. I see the bigger picture now. And for the first time in a long time, I don't know. I don't know. But Agnes made her choice. And I hope that Jane made her choice. One day my sisters will make their choice, and I hope that at least some of what I was taught is correct so that I can send them strength from wherever I end up. But I am making my choice now. And this whole time, Harriet has been swiping at Honoré, moving her back, sort of moving around her. Obviously, maybe scoring some small hits, but do next to nothing. But finally, she stops. And she... Can I ask you a quick question in the Discord, Lysa, before I finish this?
Absolutely.
Okay. So when she finally says, I have made my choice, she flips the dagger around in her hand, so she's holding it by the point. And this is not one of Harriet's skills, but she just throws it at Honoré. Just for that moment of distraction, as she smiles and one last time just says, Eddie, be strong. And she leans backwards and holds on to herself and falls backwards off of the cliff edge that she had maneuvered herself to during her ill-fated fight with her great aunt.
The last thing you see is Honoré dodging your blade, and she turns at you to smile that she dodged, and her face contorts into so many emotions as she sees you plummet. That would be the end of our tale, if this weren't the Clueniverse. The next thing you feel, Harriet, is a hand brushing the hair out of your face as you wake on a bed. A familiar face, your own? No, Henrietta's, looking at you. outside the window, there is total darkness. And Henrietta says, "Thank goodness she saved you. We need you now more than ever." And stepping out from behind Henrietta is another familiar face, Sister Agnes. She leans down and smiles at you and says, "But we mustn't forget those who died for us." And smiles a crooked smile. And that is where our story ends. What a bummer.
What a bummer.
Yeah.
How is everyone doing?
What a
Is everyone
good
doing okay?
bummer. What a great bummer.
A really fun bummer. A very satisfying bummer.
Yeah, we told a super, super sad story, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining us. As we wrap this up, I guess let's do some outros. We'll go in backwards order, starting with Friday.
Yikes. I was just gonna sit here and feel my feelings, but I guess I'll.
I know, right?
Yeah. How? What an ending for Jane. That was
Jane.
weird. Only, but perfect.
Yeah.
What was it at the beginning? So is she gonna die tragically instead of she's at least gonna die weirdly?
I do think that was the quote, yes.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm Friday. Thanks for hanging out and watching this cool. That was so much fun, and I got to play 2 real disposable characters, and I genuinely feel like for me that was at least as much fun as playing one more invested character, and something I haven't had an opportunity to do before. So thank you for playing with me like that. It was a good time. Outside of this amazing series that I love and hope that we get to do more of in future, hint, hint, you can also find me online at Friday Elliott is me on Twitter, or if you like my professional life at the Nerdy Tea Shop, you can also find that at Friday Afternoon Tea, and that's where I live.
Yay, thank you, Friday. TK, first of all, how dare you?
It's me. It's TK. I write spooky stories on the internet. If you like spooky stories, then you can read them at my website, tkjwrites.com, or follow me on Twitter, TK Joins the Fray. Always happy to be here on the Clueniverse playing people that you can't trust. Did I know about the twist at the end? Yes. Yes, Lisa looped me in there and was like, "Can I do something super evil with Agnes at the end?" And I was like, "Fucking break them." I can never play a wholesome character ever. Don't trust me. I'm a bad person. On Tuesdays, you can find me over on the Dungeons and Dragons channel playing Generation Fantasy, which is a homebrew adventure that I play with the disastrously unfunny Indoor Recess crew. Or I'm here, or tomorrow I'm going to be over on the Indoor Recess crew Twitch playing It Takes Two with Katie May. Most people know that Saturdays are our spooky slumber party, but right now we're doing a segment of not so spooky slumber parties. Yay! So it's just a wholesome platformer that's reminiscent of PlayStation 2 couch co-op adventure games. It's very fun. If you like Psychonauts or like Ratchet and Clank and stuff like that, you'll like this. It's very much like that, and it's a story about 2 people who are learning that even though they're getting a divorce, they can still be friends. And
I already have a feeling.
Yeah, there's like an emotional angle because it's 2 parents that are getting a divorce and they're learning how to cooperate and collaborate with each other. Even though they have their differences, they can still work together. And that's nice.
What a nice pitch for that game.
Yeah.
Eugenio.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eugenio. You can find me on the interwebs at DM Jazzy Hands, here on Twitch and also on the Twitters. Let's see. Where can you find me? What day is it? Friday. Sunday afternoon, season 9. All the finales this week. It is the week of feels. Because season 9 is Sunday is the season 9 finale for Rivals of Waterdeep. I can't believe that I've already done 9 episodes with them since Brian and I joined. Wild. So speaking of doppelgangers in the library. So that'll be our season finale at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on the D&D Twitch channel. I stream here on Twitch. We are just about to wrap up the final DLC of Dragon Age Inquisition. I don't know what we're playing next, so come hang out and find out. And on Wednesdays, I release episodes of my D&D podcast that I'm the DM and producer of called The Last Refuge. We are just about to wrap season 7 and have a mailbag Q&A episode. So if you are secretly a listener or want to become a listener in the next 7 days and then submit a question to our Q&A mailbag, you can check out our Twitter at DND Last Refuge for the link, because we're going to do a Q&A episode in between seasons. That's where you can find me. Hey, thanks, Lisa. This was real good.
That was so, you made me so emotional. Poor Harriet has gone through so much.
So much. Something about this, and maybe it's just me, but something about this game in particular, knowing where it's going to end, like I felt way freer to like do feels without getting maudlin and like do wild choices without getting like, without distracting from the game, and I think that is so cool.
Yes.
I think those scenes that all 3 of us had,
it's about making every second count, baby.
Yeah, those scenes would have felt like maudlin and overwrought in like another system, but we're so fun here. So thank you for that. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I should say.
You almost got in trouble.
Well, here's the thing. Yesterday we announced that Into the Motherlands, which is the science fiction game and setting that I'm working on with Tanya DePass and B. Dave Walters and a crew of awesome people. We just got to announce yesterday that we are getting a second season. Twitch is putting us up for a second season, so that's starting in 12 days. And we're moving to Wednesday nights. We're adding a new cast member. We are very excited for that. And it has been at the forefront of my brain for the last 36 hours. And then when we sat down to play, I was like, oh, okay, I will mention in the outro, but I'm going to spend these 2 hours being Harriet and dying. And I guess I was too good at that because I forgot to mention it. Sorry, Tanya.
You were Harriet. You died.
I did those things. I just didn't talk about Motherlands. We're coming back in a week and a half. Come check us out on Wednesdays over on Cypher of Tears channel.
Yay! And I have been them. I promise, if this is your first time tuning into my Twitch channel, I promise it's usually a lot happier, more gentle. I'm really nice. But I'm Lysa Penrose. You can follow me here on Twitch or on Twitter and Instagram at Lysa Penrose. I tend to do really gentle, witchy content, but occasionally spoopy and heart-wrenching, I suppose. I want to plug on my Etsy shop that I have some tarot zines out right now. If you're into tarot or beginner witchcraft, my Etsy shop is Penrose Witchery, so it's etsy.com/shop/Penrose Witchery to check that out. My Twitter also has links to all the stuff in my link tree. I also want to say thank you one more time to Roll20, Cantrip Candles, Friday Afternoon Tea, Beholder Studio, that's me, and also everyone who supported us on Ko-Fi for letting us bring back another Clueniverse story. I hope that we're able to tell some more focused on the different sisters, especially since they seem to be part of some sort of prophecy or terrible world-ending event. I don't know, it's great. Harriet tried to escape that, and you can't.
Genuinely, at one point I was like, Lisa, are you trying to get us to turn into monsters and like it? Because I can do it, but I can't tell what the good guy is anymore.
Yeah.
Look, good guy has been subjective since minute 1 of the Clueniverse.
That's true.
Super made sure of that. So.
That's true.
Well, until well, thank you again, everyone in the chat for tuning in and joining us on this wild ride. Hope you're able to have a lovely, cozy rest of your evening and weekend with this lovely, horrifying start. And hope that we're able to bring you more Clueniverse stories in the future. But until next time, bye, everybody.